Georgia.
Well, I want to thank Chairman Thompson for his tremendous leadership for the Gun Violence Prevention Task Force here on the Hill. He's been leading in this work long before I came to Congress, and I can't tell you how valuable you are in leading us and giving us the charge. And I want to thank all of my colleagues that stand with me here today. They're all champions in the front for gun safety and safer communities. I'm proud to be the lead sponsor of this legislation that is going to be discharged on the floor today, the Federal Extreme Risk Protection Order Act, with Congressman Carbajal, and the sponsor of the discharge petition that we have filed today that would bring the bill up for an immediate vote on the House floor. I have led this bill since 2019, and I have continued to hear stories from families everywhere I go and law enforcement all around the country about the lives that might have been saved if we had a red flag law in place. Stories like Mary Stiller Strobel, whose brother Ben was a combat veteran suffering from depression and PTSD. Ben had lost 30 pounds after his tour. Returning home, his father asked him about his weight loss. Ben replied that he couldn't eat, and he said that it was just so hard out there, Dad. It's just so hard, and everywhere I go, it smells like death. Ben was seeking treatment at a local VA hospital, but his family worried that in a moment of desperation, Ben might end his own life. Mary and her father drove to every gun store in their community. They showed these store photos of Ben, and they were pleading with them. If he shows up in the store, if he shows up to purchase a firearm, please do not sell this firearm to Ben. Ben Miller died by suicide. He used a gun that he bought at a local store. It's too often that the families and the loved ones who see the signs of crisis before anyone else are helpless to do anything about it. And red flag laws empower those families, along with law enforcement, to do something before it's too late. Empower their voices and allow a judge upholding due process under the law to determine if temporary limits should be placed to keep guns out of the hands of those who may be a danger to themselves or others. In the nutshell, this is what red flag laws do. Mary and her father weren't able to use that process because it was not instituted federally or within their state. They did not have a red flag law in place. This legislation would change that. Legislation, I remind you, that passed the House last Congress, the 117th Congress, with the support from Democrats and 5 Republicans. Legislation that was once held by Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal and Republican Lindsey Graham. Gun violence in this country is an epidemic. The Surgeon General just yesterday finally issued a report on the public health crisis that is gun violence in America and called for action. And so we once again are taking action. So I thank my colleagues that are here with me, my colleagues that are here in Congress for taking action to join me to announce this new strategy to move this legislation along, common sense legislation that saves lives. I implore our colleagues in this House to sign the discharge petition and make these life-saving tools available not only state by state, but everywhere in this country, no matter their zip code or their political party. Because we, and I say that we are the Gun Sense Democratic Caucus, are working to protect the American people. Even if the current majority doesn't stand up with the safety of their own constituents and their own families, we will. And now it is my distinct pleasure to bring up to you an incredible leader in our caucus and partner in this fight for gun violence, Assistant Democratic Leader Joe Neguse.